What's going on? It's Kevin Kenny. Welcome to the Build Series live here from New York City. Our guests today, very excited to talk to this duo. They've got a song with Black Bear called IDWK, off to an incredible start. It was released over the summer. 20 million streams so far on Spotify alone. Let's make some round of applause. A nice warm build welcome for Dubs.
What's up? Thank you for having us, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming by, guys. Fresh off the jet from Berlin.
Yeah, we were just in Germany this weekend. We did Lollapalooza Berlin.
That is crazy. You ever do Lala here?
We did Chicago last year.
Yeah. Is it like it must be a different vibe. I mean, but like, is there any commonalities between Lala just because it is that umbrella?
Massive crowds.
Crazy.
The European crowd's a little bit more, dance-friendly EDM. I feel like America's a little bit more, indie rock, pop. Also some EDM.
It really expresses all stages, all genres, and I mean there's definitely a lot of similarities, but I feel like the Chicago one is that special, it originated there, and it really. Yeah.
You guys touch on the different sensibilities of just the the listener's ear, whether it be in Germany or overseas or here. Can you pinpoint different songs within your own catalog, within your own set that you're like, oh, this will get a way bigger reaction in the States or even Canada than 100%. It will? Yeah. So give me some examples.
We discussed that almost on the way to the show. For instance, we played in Germany this weekend. They love hard music. They love. I would say, on our catalog, music that we did in 2014, Tsunami type vibes. When we went and played Lollapalooza in South America, they love rhythmic records, a lot of percussion-based records, which then translate to when we go to South Africa. Kind of has similarities. Then you come back to Chicago, Lollapalooza, or just any touring in North America. The fans and the crowds, they really
a lot of bass music.
Yeah,
a lot of bass music.
Hip-hop.
Bass music, dubstep, it flies in Europe, but more traditionally they like the big room, progressive house, hard style.
Right.
And so even though they're both hard, the dubstep translates more in Chicago and Dallas and in America, and then hard style and more in Europe.
It's almost every single city now has its own kind of.
That's so cool.
And you only get to figure it out after you do it for a few years, because we went our first time in Europe and we had no idea what to expect.
Yeah.
Try and drop some hip hop 4 years ago. People are like.
Passing out. On the topic of hip hop, we've seen, I work at Billboard and just the charts. If you look at the Hot 100, the most popular songs in America, hip hop is just dominating now. And you've seen this ascension really over the past 4 or 5 years, and that's kind of lining up with you guys touring in the States.
Definitely.
Have you seen just you guys incorporating more bass, more hip hop sensibilities into your sets over the course of the years?
You know what?
Stateside?
We don't even talk about it too much, but we produce a lot of hip hop behind the scenes, and we have records with Wiz Khalifa, we have records with Rich the Kid, we have records with Smoke Perp, a lot of the big cats in the game right now that people don't even really know about.
Right.
And
Ghost production almost?
Or just kind of whether it's going to be their single or whether it's however it comes out, we're pretty open whether they want the record for themselves, produced by Dubs or whatever, but yeah, we're just open with working with artists that we love, and it's come to a point now where whether it's in the rock, EDM field, or the hip hop scene, we're working with everyone.
Yeah, but if you check out our sets from 2014, 15, the music we still play a lot of that kind of stuff, but it's definitely progressed to a lot more bass and edits of hip hop songs into dubstep or harder stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just what we enjoy playing, and I don't know, kind of gets boring playing the same stuff all the time. You kind of want to reinvent your sets and et cetera, et cetera.
And that's what people want too, so.
Yeah. Do you guys have pits going? That's the new thing.
We've always had pits going, man.
Have you really?
Yeah,
okay.
Honestly, I see that, people are really enforcing mosh pits now, everywhere, and they're getting their clips for Instagram and stuff, but you know what? We grew up on some really punk style, We grew up on punk rock, honestly. Our first band was a punk band. I grew up playing guitar. Chris grew up playing drums. We just, cover Nirvana covers in our basement. We would just smash our own stuff in the basement, and hopefully one day it would work out. And yeah, we grew up on that. So like our first concert ever was like 50 kids in a town hall just like moshing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the energy we still bring to whatever concert we're performing at nowadays, whether it's 60,000 people in Berlin or, 3,000 people in New York, whatever it is. Like kids are still kind of.
I'll never forget that first show. Like when we're playing mostly originals that we wrote when we were like 13, 14. It's just like thrash, like Casualties, street punk, and like first song, like the whole place is like skanking and moshing. I'm like, they really like us.
Probably hooked from day one, man.
Yeah.
You talk about playing for 60K in Berlin. We actually have this amazing tweet, this picture you posted recently on Twitter. I mean, look at that. That's incredible, man, right there.
Yeah, that's the famous stadium too.
And it got even more full after that.
Put that into words of like so many of us. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say everyone in this room, other than you guys, will never feel what that feels like to perform for a stadium like that.
Don't let them tell you that.
Sorry, we have aspiring DJs here. I take it back.
You just crushed everyone's dream in the crowd.
No, but honestly, our song Gold Skies, we performed it just when the sun was going down, and just the sunset and the song, just writing those lyrics, it was just very emotional for me. Like I definitely shed a couple tears sometimes, you know what I mean? It's just like, and we're doing this right now, you know what I mean? Like, it becomes more normal, but not really, you know what I mean?
Totally. And this stadium has had like so many epic moments, throughout the years, whether it's been massive soccer games or the Olympics or.
It's wild, man. Very cool looking stadium, too. You were talking about producing for other artists, and I was hanging out with the Knox last night. You ever listen to the Knox?
Yeah, the Knox did something with Nervo, I think, as well, didn't they?
Yeah, totally. And so they were saying to me, they were like, they're putting out their record at the end of the month, and they're like, it was kind of tough because they started as producers, and they always saw themselves as producers, and then there was this turning point where they had to see themselves as artists, had to be frontmen, if you will. How do you guys think of yourselves? Because I never thought about that when you have a production background, but it was a real like switch for them mentally, and I was wondering if you had any sort of story like that too.
I would say we started off as songwriters.
Okay.
Songwriters, artists. When Chris went to university, he started producing. He started learning Ableton. I was then still at home. I dropped out of school, and I was just kind of still like writing songs on acoustic guitars and keys and just kind of learning my voice. And when he came home for the summers, we'd start to show each other what we've been working on, what we've been learning. And the artistry aspect was always there. Like we always knew when we came together to perform a live show, like we already knew our roots. But, I would say like the production is what kind of built over time. And then on top of that, like working with all types of artists and producing different genres is what the last 3-4 years has really grown to be.
Yeah.
When we started, we would write songs as a band. So I would be on the drums, Alex would be on guitar, and the other bandmates were actually two brothers also. So say we had a show that night, we'd be jamming all week, but say we need a new intro. So we just make it on the spot, and then say we need we're at the bridge. And when you're writing songs behind the drum kit or behind an instrument, you kind of feel what comes next. You know what I mean? As a structuring a song, it's a little different with electronic music because you're kind of just behind. It's not as hands-on when you're, you know what I mean? If I want to program drums, I got to sit there and think, okay, that's triplet. If I want to play it, I just play it. So it's a little easier like that. But at the same time, just having that background, it just really helps you just creating songs.
It's helped
structure.
us, I think we've taken all the appropriate steps to a point now that, we're finally super comfortable in the studio, on stage, working with a pop girl singer, working with a pop guy singer, working with, a rapper, working with, another electronic producer. So we're just students still, man. We've never really, that's just one thing about us is that we've never really thought we were the best or we will be the best. We just always want to keep learning. And that's how you just kind of master a craft.
In the end, we're just entertainers. We've been entertaining people since we were young. We used to play the highest level of soccer you could play in Canada. And we grew up in Europe for a little bit. So just playing soccer and all that, it's just entertaining. You're always entertaining. There's always energy. Everything is based on energy. If you're taking on a man, you come at him with speed because the energy, he can't stop you if you're running fast. If you're running slow, he can hit the ball off you. I mean, so that's kind of like, it's kind of like music. You hit the crowd with some.
Totally, man. I love that like sports approach.
And also it kind of translates with rhythm. You know what I mean? Soccer, you kind of have to have good rhythm with the ball to like, actually be able to, keep winning and scoring against your opponent.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing, when you're juggling a soccer ball. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4. You kind of have to keep up with the rhythm. The same.
It's like a tempo in
like
your
a
body.
metronome in your head.
Yeah.
It's kind of already programmed there.
But I think, it's funny. I think that speaks to your mastery of this, because when you do Mastercraft, I found, not that I've mastered many crafts, but, there's these.
There's speaking.
Yeah, exactly. Talking, asking questions. But you draw these parallels between other things you've done. And I think it's really helpful. So you guys, of course, you're killing the music game and you're getting to a level now where you can be like, oh, this is like that. And then this is like this. And
Let alone the traveling. Like we used to travel every day, like 4 practices a week, then the game. And we kind of lived outside the city. So we were driving even when I was older, 14, 15, we'd go play all over America, and then we'd also fly overseas to London, and I played in Greece for a little bit.
That's wild.
So just being able to travel so intensely and just understand the basis of teamwork and like everyone combining their skills. It's not just one person, it's just teamwork. You got the manager, you got the agent. If one person is not at the same level as everyone else, you can't really expect your brand or whatever it is to succeed because you got a weak link. So you got to make sure everyone's on the right page and has the right motivation.
Yeah. If this doesn't work out, you guys
gearing it all up, honestly.
Yeah.
That's just what it was.
I was just going to say, if this doesn't work out, you guys could be sports coaches in another life.
For sure.
Like,
hopefully.
I mean,
we want to actually, bring it when we're on tour, tweet out some, whether we go train with kids in different countries or, not everyone knows that, but we've played some shows where, like, it's in a stadium in, like, South America or, like, Bolivia we played, and we were, playing soccer with all the concert employees and stuff after. So
it's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah,
just keep it open.
That, man. You talk about tweeting. I love how you tweet, actually, and I think it's sort of a, maybe a gateway into your guys' mind, how you approach things. And I'd love to talk about some of these tweets and get your thoughts on them. One of the tweets recently is, your comfort zone will kill you. And I think that's just such a great message to reinforce.
Absolutely.
Is that something you guys had to struggle with, of trying to get out of your comfort zone?
Yeah, I think as an individual, and I can speak for both of us here, that like everyone kind of always tries to put you in this box, you know what I mean? Whether it's a genre, whether it's, a job or a school or anything, I just think that every time you're comfortable, like, I don't think you have your full potential. Totally. I think when it's the same thing when we're traveling so much, like we just did an 8-week tour in Europe all summer long. By the 4th, 5th week, you get homesick. You miss your family and friends. People are kind of moving on without you. But that feeling of not being comfortable keeps you kind of like a fire inside you, which wants to keep like going harder and harder. And that there's an end result that's worth like more than like what you can even imagine.
I just think there's so much like real emotional feelings that people deal with, like anxiety and all this. And I feel like once you find something that makes you feel good, you feel good, but at the same time, like you might be suppressing how far you could go just because.
With that feeling.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
just
like
because. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about a couple more because I'm a big fan of your Twitter. Everything happens for a reason. You tweeted that recently, and I'm just wondering if you can look back on your own career. You've achieved so much in a relatively short period of time.
I could tell you why I tweeted that.
Oh, yeah, please. Just go right there.
So we're moving into a new home currently.
Okay.
But to be completely honest, we're actually homeless as of right now.
Okay.
We left tour and we moved out of our place in LA, and we just sold our place in Toronto. So we're in this like really free space of like, we actually just have the clothes in our suitcases, and we were just finishing a tour, and now we're homeless. And we were a day away from getting this new place. We were going to rent a new spot with a studio and stuff in Los Angeles. And the landlord or the real estate agent, he was just like, he was on this high horse. And he said, you know what? I want 5 months of rent up front because these guys are DJs. So I started thinking to myself, I'm like, I was kind of pissed off because I thought we got the house. I thought we were going to move in, you know, and we have our dogs with our mom right now. We have 2 dogs. We're going to have them back at the house. And I realized that, like, this all fell through for a reason. And if we went forward with this place, I feel like this guy was almost going to, you know, whether rob our deposits or just have this weird stigma towards us being musicians and young and living in, like, Beverly Hills, let's say. And I just felt that was like, it was everything. I was just trying to feel better that day. I was like, you know, everything really does just happen for a reason.
You got to follow your intuition for sure.
Yeah.
This kind of leads me to this next tweet. You tweeted recently, don't think too much. You'll create problems that aren't even there in the first place. And I was wondering, is there a parallel to be drawn there between that approach and your approach to music? Is it kind of like, don't overthink the music, or are you guys overthinkers?
When you overthink the music, I honestly believe that it becomes like the songs never actually get released. Some of our best work that we've ever had and created was in the most free, open space where we were just with friends. We moved to California 6 years ago from Toronto, Canada, and just being Canadians moving to a whole brand new world was just so inspiring. And you know, we moved with $1,000 in our pockets. Chris drove his like Volkswagen from Toronto for 3 days all the way to Los Angeles, and we had this home that we shared with 3 of our friends, and we had no furniture, and we had a studio in the kitchen, and there was just this open, free space, and nothing was ever like we never overthought anything. And I just feel like as time, like, you know, you start getting some success and some records start doing well on charts, you start overthinking a lot of things, whether it's, you know, sounds or the next single or the next this and the next that. And it just clouds the vision of what can actually happen. So if you can tell yourself a little bit to just kind of like, you know, chill out, just do it for why did you start doing this in the first place? And things can kind of flow a lot freely.
Totally, yeah. I mean, it's funny. It's almost like you were saying about the house, right? It's like you had an intuition that this probably was not going to go well.
Exactly.
That's still like that gut feeling. You got to follow that with the music too, and not overthink.
Yeah.
I think anyone can look back on a negative situation in the present, and then like a year or 2 later, being like, that wasn't even negative at all. That was actually positive because now I've changed my life for the better. And if it wasn't for that reason, like I would have still been in the bad habits or something. You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah. We've seen you do some pretty cool collabs this year. We got, of course, Black Bear. We played the video before here in the studio. Also, Cheat Code's another collab you guys did this year.
Those are our boys.
The Cheat Codes are awesome. Those guys are great.
I'm so happy for those guys. They're just like such great dudes and talented, and same with Black Bear, man. Like honestly, this year is just like we're sitting on like 20 records right now. Honestly, like we've just kind of held back a little bit because we love to analyze like where we're going as a brand, where we're going with our music, working a lot behind the scenes as well, balancing our personal lives, you know, with music. And I'm truly happy that we got to work with people like Black Bear and the Cheat Codes this year.
Yeah, is that the direction? I mean, those acts, both of them, pretty pop leaning.
Yeah, definitely.
Is that the direction you guys want to take your sound?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we love creating pop music. We love integrating it with like, you know, dance music.
But we never want to restrict ourselves. Like when we wake up one day and we're like, yo, we need to make a festival banger. Like we're playing Lollapalooza in 2 weeks. Like let's just make, even if we're not going to release it, like just sit down and make like a new intro or like let's make a new edit. You know what I mean? So we'll never restrict ourselves, but it's just something new for us. You know, we've been doing EDM bangers for a while, but we actually originated from, you know, like Alex said, the punk rock. But even before and after that, we were doing unplugged, like acoustic, indie. We've done so many genres. It's just kind of fun for us to create something new.
Yeah. I like that unplugged tip because
you were talking about Broken Social Scene before the interview here.
Yeah.
Where they had a studio up where we grew up north of Toronto, and we recorded some of our early music there. It was very like, I would say it's on the tip of like indie rock meets like almost like Anthony Green, Seos, and like emo kind of like stuff too.
That's the stuff you guys were doing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Alex got me in just to play drums actually, because we were in the punk stuff then. He's like, I want to do that, and I think I was started going to university or I was busy, and then he's like, yo, we need a drummer. I'm like, I love music, so let's do
Chris
it.
just kept joining different bands.
Yeah, exactly.
It was all like trials, you know what I mean? We would start bands and work with different musicians and see, you know, it comes down to chemistry, you know. If you want to make this last forever, you know, you gotta. It's more than just the music. It's how you're working with like the different band members. It's how you guys are on stage and off stage. It's how you guys are in the studio. You know, there's a lot of things that come with it. And over time, 5, 6 failed bands, we realized that we've almost learned everything we could from these bands and what these guys were even doing. And being brothers, like, we can just kind of do it together.
Totally.
And, you know, we can...
It's kind of crazy because, like, the people that we were in bands before, I don't know what it was. Like, we just had... We love those, like, everyone we ever made music with, but we just kind of had this vision that, like, yo, we can really do this, like, to the top and, like, make it to the top. But everyone didn't really have the commitment it took to get there. Like, they had the talent, but they didn't have the commitment. So it's just, like, it's kind of... I just don't know what their mentality is now. It's like, oh man, like
they just didn't fully believe in it.
Right.
That's just what.
Well,
it
that's
is.
what no one talks about. Is like it's one thing to have the dream, but then also you need people around you that also have like the scale of the vision, right? Because that's huge.
You have to make it 100%.
Yeah.
There's so many people that are giving 100% of their creative soul, their personal life, everything. And if you want to just give, 40, 50% of that, it doesn't even have to be the music industry. It's anything, that you're doing. There's someone else that's giving a bit more.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like when we decided, like, we're gonna do this. And I could break down from 7 years ago what the transitions were in life, and like it's a lot. A lot of people can. They
see so many comments like, yeah, your daddy, like this. It's like
you made it overnight.
I told him I was gonna
people
get
say that
drums,
kind of
like,
stuff.
Yeah.
They don't really understand what really goes into it.
Yeah.
The amount of like floors you actually sleep on, the amount of like nights that you don't sleep, like
kitchens you record.
I didn't sleep last night, honestly.
Yeah, you can definitely hear, like, back in the day, we'd be recording, our roommate, Hoef, would come in, he's, like, making spaghetti. I'm like, dude, I can hear the faucet running. What are you doing? Like, I'm trying to record these vocals. We're trying to record Gold Skies.
It's amazing. We got these fans in attendance. I'd love to get some studio audience questions.
Yeah.
First will come from right up here.
Legends.
Hey guys, first of all, I found you guys on Spotify last year, Not Going Home. I think it's an awesome song.
Thank you.
That's really where I found you guys first. But my question is, so you talked about how you just collaborated with Black Bear and Cheat Codes this year. Who, and this is like either like alive right now or from the past, who would be your dream collaboration of all time?
Honestly,
Such a hard question.
yeah, that's a super hard question. I mean, we also grew up on reggae. Like, we love reggae music. We would love to get into the studio with like Damian Marley. Would be like one of the things that would be amazing. But I would say that someone I've always wanted to work with would be Wiz Khalifa, and we just did that. So
And,
work on Roll
Bradley
Peppers
Noel from Sublime,
No.
he was a legend.
Brand
Like,
new
we grew up
song.
on a lot of that kind of stuff. Bradley Noel from Sublime would have been amazing. Obviously, Bob Marley, Damon Marley is, living reincarnation pretty much of Bob Marley. All the Marley family, super talented. Yeah, it's a hard question.
Quite the
There's
list,
so
no.
so
we
many-
would have to break down like genre to genre,
Let's get to our second question. It'll come from back here.
Hi, what was the biggest learning experience that you had while on tour?
While on tour, I think,
Eat healthy.
yeah, that was definitely like, balance is a huge thing on tour. You have so many flights and concerts and, people to impress and, people telling you where to go and what to do. And I think you start to forget about yourself sometimes. So one of the most important things I've learned, and I kind of only learned it in the last year, was to like, sit back a little bit and make sure you're okay, because as you can see and as we've all kind of experienced in the last couple of years, there's a lot of artists that are going through things that, they're really good at putting a front on, and they're really good at smiling through the shows and through the cameras, but deep down there's a lot more to it. So I would love to see a lot more artists, just kind of take that advice and, really just make sure you're first and you're okay before everything else, because everything else can wait.
Yeah, it's a great message, man. It's important. We have time for one final question.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Justin Liu, and I
What
just
up,
wanted
man?
to ask, seeing how you guys have gone so far in the music industry, what is something you would tell your younger self when you first started? Like, what is some advice you wish you had when you were younger?
For me personally, I would say I wish I had a little bit more patience. I now have figured that out, but in the very beginning, you know, we were so ready to make it, so ready to like do anything, please anyone, that, you know, we kind of, you know, we signed a few like deals back in the day, or made a few connections with just like the wrong people, where they weren't in it for they had motives and they had the wrong intentions, where we were just hungry. We loved making music. We loved, you know, making people happy. And I think if we just had a little bit more patience, knowing that it will come regardless of like everything, you just know that you just got to keep putting in the hard work and time. For all the other artists out there, like, just keep doing like what you're doing that's different and creative, and, you know, don't just try to rush everything.
Don't rush to sign anything, management. Don't rush to sign label deals unless you have the proper team, lawyers looking at you, because, you know what I mean? You never know who's really on your side or who's on the other side. So,
because there's music and then there's the music industry, and the music industry is a whole another like battle. And I just think if you kind of, you know, educate yourself on, you know, what the first thing you do as an artist is educate yourself on what you deserve for all your hard work, you know, with when it comes down to like publishing and your splits and how, you know, you're incorporating to the songs and stuff, and just learn your craft first. And other than that, just
keep grinding.
Just keep going. Just know that anyone can really do it. You know, we came from absolutely nothing, man. Like, for real. Like, we came an hour outside of Toronto in a very like low key town where everyone's kind of still,
people, you know what I mean?
Everyone's still living there, doing the exact same thing. And yeah, we're kind of out here living our best life.
Doing a very, very different thing. Thanks for the question, man. All right, well, we are unfortunately out of time for the episode today, but I did want to ask this before we left. Is I know new music is on the way. More music is on the way.
Definitely.
What's like the latest update you can tell us right now?
Can't tell you, bro.
No, we can tell you something just because we love Build. We got a brand new single dropping in 2.5 weeks.
Okay. Just you guys, featured artists?
We have one person singing on it, and he's a huge up-and-coming star that I think, you know, he's been a part of the OVO scene with Drake, and he's also Canadian, so that's awesome to work with someone that I believe in, and I know that it's not whether he's going to have a hit, it's when it's going to be his next hit, and I think that this could be something really special.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Would the letters RW mean anything?
We do have that as well.
Okay.
But there's another one.
All right.
That
That's
one over
very
my head.
exciting.
Bow,
guys.
bow.
All right. Thank you very much for watching.
Thank you,
at home.
bro.
Thank you guys for stopping by today. And of course, one more time for Dubs.
Thank you, brother.
Shout
Oh, man.